I know we've got a little bit of a time crunch. I know we'll be letting more people in here. So it's great to see everybody here. For those of you I don't know, we work at the Hyde School. My name is Bob Felt. I've been working at Hyde School, going on my 29th year. I went to Hyde as a student, graduated from the class of 1990, had an amazing experience, figured there's absolutely no way in the world I'm ever going to be a teacher. Well, I've been here for 29 years. I haven't been fired yet, so that I got that going for me. I've been a teacher, a coach, an administrator. And the thing I love to do the most about working Hyde is love to share Hyde with new people like yourself, consultants and parents. But I think before we get going, we're going to do some slides and talk about who is Hyde, who we're for. But I figured about just our Hyde team, we've got some current parents, alumni parents, current students, some of our staff here at the school. Maybe everybody could just do a quick intro, and then we'll get started from our Hyde team.
I'll start. I'm Charlie Mugford. I'm the Director of Admissions at Hyde.
I'm Christian Jensen. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Brunswick, Maine, so the town over from where Hyde is located. This is my 4th year working here at admissions. I also coach wrestling, help Bob coach lacrosse, dorm parent, do a little bit of everything. I had an older brother that graduated from Hyde. He had a great experience. They treated him really well, and then the year after that, my oldest brother started working here, and he's been the athletic director here for about 10 years now. And then a few years ago, I joined the team. So Hyde's been really good to our family.
My name's Lori Hurd, and I've been with Hyde for about 30 years, and I graduated from here. My 3 kids graduated from here, and I'm glad to be working with admissions.
I'm Catherine Montanero. I am 48 years old. I am the Director of Family Education. So my main responsibility is working with the parents. I also coordinate discovery groups, family weekends, things like that. And I have 2 children who graduated from Hyde. And so before I came here to work, I was a parent here for about 4 or 5 years. And I'm with.
Hi guys, I'm Allie Candy. I'm 21 years old and I go to Salve Regina University. I'm a previous student of Hyde. I was here the 2019 to 2020 academic year. This summer I'm working Summer Challenge. I'm the college intern this summer and it's been an awesome experience. I didn't graduate from Hyde, but I still love it, so I missed it, and that's why I'm back.
I'm Jackie Lane. I'm from Boise, Idaho. I'm a graduate of the class of 93, and my son Zachary just graduated in May as the class of 2024.
I'm Rebecca Cannon. I'm the Director of Student Services here. This is my first year here. I'm happy to be here.
Is that everybody? John, you want to go ahead? Brady?
Hey, everyone.
John, you want to go? Go ahead, John.
I can go. Hey, Brady, what's going on? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
John Young here. I'm a parent of 2 daughters, one that just graduated Hyde and is on her way to college, and the other is going into her sophomore year. We're somewhat new to Hyde, about a year involved.
I'm Brady Krupp. I'm 16. I've gone to Hyde I'm going in my 3rd year, and I'll be a junior this year.
Awesome. So I think that's everybody. So we'll get started. And as I said, some of you have never heard of Hyde. Some of you have heard of Hyde. So today is an opportunity for us to explain more about Hyde and hear some questions at the end of our presentation. And you can ask our current parents, students, Rebecca, who works in our student services. So we'll just get started and get rolling here. Let me just, I want to make sure, get a thumbs up. Everybody can see that? Awesome. Okay, so Hyde School. So Hyde is a co-ed boarding school founded in 1966 by our founder, Joseph Gauld. We've been in business going on 58 years here at the school. Ultimately our mission statement at the school, every individual is gifted with unique potential. Mr. Gauld, who actually, as I said before, I went to Hyde School as a student. He was my headmaster when I first joined. and really the philosophy of how Hyde got started in a nutshell. You know, Mr. Gall was working at a very traditional prep school and really felt like he was giving his best grades to the kids that didn't work as hard, and felt like there needed to be a school where really promoted attitude, effort over care, over talent and achievement, and really with the focus of being on character. And then also the best way to teach character to kids starts in the home. And so we started this whole process of the family program at Hyde, which we'll talk more about. You know, some of our students, you know, I went to Hyde. I had an amazing experience here. Went to Hyde for 4 years. My 2 kids went to Hyde. My youngest is now at the College of Charleston, and, you know, took so much from his experience as a student here at Hyde. We have an incredibly diverse population of students. So we don't just have students from the United States. We have students from 25 different countries, 18 different states, which, you know, I would say every teen, you know, being a teenager in the world today, not just the United States, is difficult. There's a lot of things going on, social media, things in the world, education. And so Hyde can cater to all those students. And so, you know, this past year, we just had an amazing community of students who I think really helped each other, supported each other, which made it an amazing experience for not just the students, but the faculty as well. You know, a few things, you know, Hyde, you know, we're a school. So, you know, we have robust academics. So we've got small classrooms catering to our students. All of the faculty live on campus. We're a boarding school. Yes, we do. 99.5% of our students live on campus. We do have a few day students here at the school. So obviously we have AP classes, honor level classes. We do, you know, a big focus on math and science. We've started some new classes this year on AI and e-commerce, which I think has become incredibly important in the world. We also do online offerings, and college credit is available to our students. You know, just the intimate nature of our campus. We have this year, we'll probably have anywhere from 140 to 150 students, co-ed. So there is plenty of attention for all of our students. College counselor works one-on-one with each of our students on their college essays, visits, tours, interview prep. So each of the seniors, they take 6 academic classes. One of their academic classes on a daily basis is meeting one-on-one with a group of sometimes other students to work on their college stuff and start figuring out what's the right fit for students to go on to college. We're also big into the arts here. You know, obviously we have studio art, 3D art and design. My wife's one of the art teachers. She also runs the learning support program here. And then the other thing that we have is we have an amazing theater. So students that are very interested in music creation, recording their music. I know John, you know, John's oldest daughter, Isley, who just graduated, very musically inclined. You know, I think that was a great thing for many of our students who find a passion in doing those sorts of things. You know, one of our learning promise here was students. Why I came back to work here at the school was the relationships that I built with the teachers here. So the student and teacher working together along with the family. So we want to help kids when you graduate with comprehension, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. We want to help them be better writers, better speakers, and better problem solvers, not just in the math and science, but in life, helping kids do that. So how do we sort of do that? We do that through academic challenges. So we have kids who go on to, you know, we want kids to go to colleges. We want kids to go to the right fit for each of our students. What's the right fit for them academically, athletically? We have many kids who go on to play athletics in college, some Division I, some Division II, some Division III, but it's all about finding the right fit for our students here at Hyde. You know, this is sort of the last few years of where some of our kids have gotten into over the years. You know, my son went to College of Charleston. We have a great relationship with Endicott College, which has been super popular. Something that's come more and more is High Point has become I mean, I would want to go to school there too. That campus is amazing, but really do help students along with many other colleges and universities throughout the United States. some of our support services. So for students, so my wife, Brooke Felt, who runs our Learning Connections program, so we're helping kids with mild dyslexia, dyscalculia, and ADHD. Our big thing is on executive function. I mean, to be honest with you, my wife is trying to help me with my own executive function. So we have an academic coaching team. They'll have either 2 times a week they meet for a period, or 4 times a week. Small interactions with teachers. We also do some one-on-one with kids, helping them with organizing, planning, time management. And we're trying to help kids learn to learn, note-taking, study skills, reading and writing strategies. And then I think the big thing, this isn't just in learning, but the skill of asking for help, whether it could be in any facet, but that's an important life skill to have, not just in learning, but in life. So helping them be self-advocates. Many of the parents, my mom in particular, she was my self-advocate when it came to my learning when I was a teenager. Hyde is really trying to help students be advocates and learn to learn. We're aware of sort of personal learning differences. We're empowering the kids, and then we want kids to take responsibility for their own learning. So there is plenty of help. After school ends, kids can meet with the tutors, can meet with their English teacher. When we all live on campus, we eat our meals together. So we're like family, whether the kids like it or not. We're surrounded by them all the time. So that's a little bit about our academic program. I think this might be a good place. Maybe Rebecca, on the student service side of what you do with kids, maybe you can just explain a little bit about your job and the role that you play with students down in the Health and Wellness Center.
Yeah, sure. So it's an easy way to think about it is that we want to support all that is Hyde. So we're looking at ways to integrate wellness really for students into the family and the character education curriculum that already exists. I have about over 20 years of clinical experience as a licensed clinical social worker, working with young people. So, and then we also have an RN who we've hired 2 RNs, one who's here sort of going to be here for nights and weekends, and then one who's here more when the health center's open. So we can help students if they aren't feeling well, if they're struggling with something. Sometimes there's appointments that students have to make either off campus, and we help parents and students arrange those. We do have a psychiatric nurse practitioner who we consult with. And so some students, for example, they might have medicines or things that need management, like monthly meetings or things. So she is able to, you have to register with her, but she's able to help sort of coordinate care for students. What am I forgetting?
No, I think the other thing that's great. The other thing too, just to fill people in, is students with some substance issues. Now it's all changed with the accessibility to marijuana these days and cannabis, and some of the things that we do. Just a little background on me: I've been sober for 30 years. It's just something I had struggled with as a teenager, and in college, I got sober in college, thanks to some of the lessons that I learned at Hyde. Not so much about substances, about who you are, who you want to become. I had great mentors when I was a student at Hyde. So I would say I'm a little bit of the Pied Piper on campus with, probably 8 to 10 kids where, there's some issues with substance use. We also have an outside counselor, a guy named Gino Ring, who's worked with our students since I was a student. He works with Bowdoin College. He works with the local public schools. He comes to campus once a week, every Tuesday, and does group work with, 8 to 10 kids throughout the year. He also meets with the parents, all parents, whether kids are in the group or not, at our family weekends, which happen twice a year. He's an amazing guy. So he and I stay in tune. We also have kids who like to go to AA and NA meetings. So I take kids to meetings. I don't make them go to meetings, but if a student approached me and said, hey, I'd really like to go to a meeting tonight, I would take a kid to a meeting. We have a couple other faculty members who do that with kids. So that's certainly available for kids to be able to do that if that's something they're passionate about doing and want to stick with staying clean and sober. And also, I'm not sure I want to live a life of sobriety, but I know I need to explore some things about my usage. So we have that available as well here at the school for students as an additional support.
And
Then go ahead. Yep.
no, I just was gonna say real quick, this is my first year, so Bob and I were just talking the other day too about figuring out, are there ways that we can be more supporting Gino's work that he's doing with students? And so that's all still developing.
If I could add one little thing in there, for those kids that are in therapy, we certainly have a good number of those here at Hyde, and the different options for getting that therapy. In addition to seeing Rebecca, seeing therapists off campus is something we do, and then telehealth for those kids that have a favorite therapist from home that they want to keep seeing.
Right, and the telehealth appointments, families just would call into the health center, and we have like a room where they can come, and it's private, it has a couch, and it's super comfortable, but it just makes it so that if for some reason it was during a class time, we would be able to excuse them. We usually encourage that it happens not during a class time, and that's not hard to do. So good, yeah, that's right, Charlie. We can help arrange those. Ultimately, the parent sets up the appointment, but we can look at the student's schedule and work with the parents on what would be a good time to schedule.
And then I think, just to, we'll keep this moving. I think sort of three key things about Hyde. First is, Hyde's Prep Schools Plus. I'll explain that. Really, our special sauce is about building character in kids, and also uniting families. So what is Prep School Plus? So obviously we talked about we're a school. So we want to help kids be better learners, go to college, challenge themselves academically. We have kids who lean into academics. We certainly have some kids who tend to like to lean out of academics. So here we're pushing those kids to get engaged and involved. The holistic development here at Hyde, if you're familiar with emotional intelligence and EQ, we want to help kids emotionally, socially, and physically. So kids at our school, everyone does everything, whether you like it or not. You go to school, everybody plays 3 seasons of competitive athletics, whether you're an athlete or not, getting engaged, being part of a team, working hard, showing courage, taking risks, leadership opportunities, getting kids. This year, John, one of our parents, we took about 7 or 8 kids on a leadership opportunity. One of our alums is a investment banker in New York City. So he brought 7 or 8 kids down, a couple parents. They did a little bit of an internship. They spoke in front of other people of Bank of America. It was an awesome experience for our kids. So we don't just want to keep them on campus. We want to get them out off campus and doing things within our community service projects. I think that just enhances kids' overall feeling about themselves and the world around them. And I think the greatest thing, Hyde is incredibly supportive. So yes, we challenge students, but it's also about supporting. I make no guarantees on any kid, but one thing I always do guarantee is no kid will be anonymous here. You can't slip through the cracks. We see the kids every day. And so that's one of our promises to the parents with working with kids here at Hyde. Guidance and mentoring. I mean, one of the things that we do here is every student's in what's called a discovery group. So other schools would call it an advisor group. Here we call it a discovery group. So 1 or 2 faculty members, 8 or 9 students from all different parts of the world, where you're working intentionally once a week in your discovery group on character, on evaluating yourself, your strengths, your challenges, your peer relationships. Where do I need to work on my relationship with my parents? Often people say to me, is Hyde therapeutic? Well, we're not therapeutic. Yes, we have Rebecca, we have a therapist on campus, but hey, of talking about your character, talking about yourself, things I need to work on, and giving your peers feedback. If that is characterized as therapeutic, we do it all the time here at the school. We really base our core values here on courage, integrity, leadership, curiosity, concern. Uh, those aren't just words on the wall, words on our shield. They certainly are, but we put them into action with everything that we do here at the school. You know, Hyde's about personal growth. It's about starting here, continue to work on yourself. We've got discovery groups. We also have family weekends, which really gets into what I think is one of the great things about Hyde is that we bring families together here at the school. So we don't just take students, we accept families at Hyde. And so, you know, I wanted to just maybe, Catherine, maybe you could just, as our director of the family education program, and then I'd love to hear from John and Jackie about your experience and what you guys learned as parents in the parent program. But maybe, Catherine, you could just say a little bit about your role and what is this whole thing about family at Hyde?
Sure. I mean, I think the three main focus areas of family education or the parent program here at Hyde are self-discovery, parenting, and family excellence. So self-discovery means that as parents, we are tasked with focusing on ourselves. Like, what am I as a parent? What do I need to work on? What do I want to change about myself? What do I want to remember? You know, before we were all parents, we actually had goals and dreams, and sometimes we forget about those. And so what do I need to work on as a parent? And that sets an example and can inspire my child to do the same. But it's about me as a parent. And then we get parenting resources and tips and tricks from our fellow parents. So during family weekends, during the parent workshops, when parents come to campus or join a Zoom meeting, we are all learning from each other, from the other students in our group, from the other parents in our group, and we're helping other people. And that makes us better parents. And then the last one is family excellence. Like, what are our challenges as a family? What are our strengths as a family? How can we build on those? We're really about family connection here at Hyde. And how can we support that in both the kids and the parents?
Awesome. Maybe Jackie, John, loved it. I think you're muted, Jackie.
Can you hear me now? There we go.
Got
Sorry.
it.
I'm trying to be respectful. I think the parent program, the family program is essential. You know, I'm in a unique position, having been a student who went to Hyde and went through the family program with my own family. And then 30 years ago, and fast forward 4 years ago, starting again in the family program as a parent. I think it's essential. I think I always say this, the thing I take away from every time I'm on campus and spending time with parents or even in regional meetings is every parent thinks their struggles are an island, and you realize that you're in a room with people whose struggles might be different, but there's always a thread that connects us. So I think the relationships you make as a parent are just as special as the relationships that the kids make. You're talking, you're communicating, and it's just another source of, you know, another tool in the tool belt, as I like to say. And I raised my kids in the Hyde way, and I raised my kids with the Hyde principles. So for us to go back as students, it was really comforting to have that layer of the family program. And I think it's the essential sauce that makes Hyde really work and work together so well.
And Jackie, maybe, you know, what did you see? You know, Zach was with us for 4 years. Maybe you can just maybe quickly share the change. You know, what was the thing that you saw in him from
Well, for
first year
me,
to 4?
For me, I didn't come to Hyde the way a lot of people come to Hyde. Obviously, I went there. And so I had a son who I adore. And I think anybody who knows him, he's a special kid. But he was kind of caught in, we come from a family of type A, nonstop talkers. You fight for your words in this house. And he was just a quiet, reserved little boy. And I mean, we were talking about athletics a minute ago. I remember the first day I got to Hyde, brought him to Hyde. Bob called me and said, I'm going to make this kid a lacrosse player. And I said, this kid's never done anything in his life. And he said, nope, I'm going to make him a lacrosse player. Meanwhile, he became the goalie of the lacrosse team. He became a varsity and college football player. He became a state champion wrestler. And I would never have thought of that. He was able to find his own voice and his way of communication. And I tell this to people all the time. Everyone's heard me say this. I sent to Hyde a little boy and I graduated a man. And to me, when you can see that in your child, just his communication, his strengths, his ability to articulate is something that I find invaluable. And people who meet him are amazed at that, or people who see him are amazed that that was the same little boy I sent there.
Awesome. How about you, John? Maybe just,
Yeah,
two kids, your experience?
If I can just add, yeah, Isley is now 18, but she entered Hyde when she had just turned 17, and I'm the father of 4, and Isley was our third. And our first 2 went through the public school systems and through college and university, and now are gainfully employed, knock on wood, seamlessly. And so we just sort of thought that was going to be the case with Isley and then Lila. And then when Isley turned 16 and a half, she experienced a pretty traumatic event in her life that revealed some anxiety and some depression. And we were really kind of ill-equipped to handle that. We were sort of a type A family, very results-oriented. And it did have a tremendous impact on our family. And we turned to some help because we were in uncharted waters, basically. And we quickly realized that our current situation with our current high school was not in a position to help. Even though it was a very highly acclaimed high school and a lot of people said it's a great school, they were just not really in a position to collaborate with us. We wanted Isley to be challenged academically. That was really important for us. But we also knew that there needed to be some therapy or additional support. And we met a educational consultant by the name of Daria Rockholtz, who was tremendous, amazing, and she helped guide us. And we met Hyde, and Hyde has really turned out to be the best decision we ever made for Isley. And now so good that we've actually moved our youngest Lila over there. Again, we were not looking for a therapeutic school, but we've learned that it's not just about results, even though we always thought it was, but it's about character, being character-driven, participation, integrity. They were just as important as the result itself. Yeah, so I love the fact that every child has to do a sport. I love the fact that every kid gets up on stage and sings and performs, because life begins at the end of your comfort zone, and Hyde teaches that, but they do it in a gentle, safe way.
Awesome.
Bob, can I just say one last thing, or just something that
Sure.
actually it's 2 last things if you know me. One that just to touch on something you said before about the international community. When I went to Hyde, we didn't have as much of an international community as you and I were there at the same time, Bob, but it's amazing to see these kids from different cultures, different walks of life. My son just came back from spending 2 weeks with a Hyde family in Holland, and that's been wonderful. But the other thing I tell people, and I talk to a lot of parents, is Hyde gives your child a chance to write their own story. My son had lost his father, and it was tired of talking about it, tired of being identified for it. And when he came to Hyde, he was able to write the man he wanted to be, not the man that had been written for him. You have this tragedy, you have these things. And so I've always loved that Hyde gives children a chance to create their own narrative and create their own story. And I think that's a really important part of the process as well.
Absolutely.
Which reminds
John?
me, Bob, Isley entered Hyde, we thought, as an athlete. She was a very good all-around athlete, and she's left Hyde as a musician, and she had no musical background, but she really found her passion there at Hyde. So that was amazing to see.
And John, Daria's on the call, just so you know. Shout out Daria.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
yeah. And I want to say, John, it's good to see you. But I think one of the reasons it worked out so well for your daughters is that you and Serena really jumped in and embraced the school as part of your family. I mean, I heard from the admission people too, how involved you were teaching tennis up there and getting involved with the students. So this is an example of just where the family piece works so well for everybody.
It's wonderful to see you, Daria.
Big time. And I would also, so that's great. And I'd love to hear from some kids. I went to Hyde, as I said before, and, my parents thankfully are still alive. My dad's 84, my mom is 81. And my parents still today would say, we think we got more out of Hyde than you did because of not just, it wasn't about me, it was about the things that they learned about themselves and how that still plays a part in our family life today. But I think it'd be great, Brady, I'd love to hear maybe just a little bit from you about, as a current student, just about your experience, some of the takeaways for you. And also love to hear from you, Allie, as well. But we'll start with you, Brady, just to share a little bit about your experience and some of the takeaways and things that you've learned.
Yeah. In my 2 years, I know I've learned a lot. But I came at kind of an interesting point because we were in between a move, so I could find a new school in a new place, or I could come to Hyde that we've heard about. And I came to Hyde, but it was a little bit unexpected. I didn't quite know what was going to happen, and I thought that there'd be some things that I might lose and some things that I might not be able to experience. But I found very quickly that that's just not the case, and that anything that there's a little bit of everything and everything at quite a high level. I found quite a lot of strength and leadership. In my 2 years, I'm going to come back an even better leader this next year. So I get ready to go, and then I get to play sports at a high level. I won a New England championship in soccer, and then I get to come and play tennis at one singles also, which it's just I might not get to experience that somewhere else. And also, the community is also really, really incredible. I spent 2 weeks with a family in Serbia, like Zach did in the Netherlands. So it's just so much of everything with so many different people that you wouldn't expect to be with or know that you could have such a great connection with. And so much in my 2 years has happened that I'll remember. And also with myself, I've learned a lot about myself and my family, and we've gotten to experience something that we've never got to experience before. And we've taken strides together that we might not have been able to take or even talk about before coming to Hyde. So it's been great for me.
That's awesome. Allie, how about you? Maybe just share quickly some takeaways from your Hyde experience.
So when I came to Hyde, it was my junior year of high school, and I was in a pretty fragile state in my life. I had just gotten out of a wilderness rehabilitation and therapy program down in North Carolina. And I struggled, but I made it through that program. And then I transferred to Hyde a little bit later in that September of 2019. When I came here, I think it was the first time that I had ever found a place that was completely non-judgmental. And everybody here had their own story, and I didn't feel as alone in my struggles as I once had. I think if I could describe my experience at Hyde in one word, it would be healing. And it wasn't just healing for me. I mean, the entire family experience. Both my parents still are very, very much into all of the Hyde stuff and the stuff that we've learned here, and the family weekends, getting up and singing and dancing in front of everybody. I mean, I think one of the quotes from Hyde is truth over harmony. And my dad will say that to me all the time, no matter what. But I really found an amazing community here. I think I found a lot of mentors. I found a lot of friends. Unfortunately, though, during my junior year, COVID happened. So we went home for spring break and didn't end up coming back that year. And I transferred out. I actually graduated from a public high school, but I really think, as a 21-year-old looking back 5 years ago, I really could have benefited from graduating from Hyde, because during your senior year here, they really give you a lot of pointers on leadership, and they give you a lot of expectations, and you're expected to be a role model for the younger students. And I really think I could have used that structure moving forward, especially the college counseling, especially the disco groups. But I'm just so grateful to have gotten a year here, and I loved it. And that's kind of why I came back on campus. I was sitting in my apartment in Newport this year, looking for something to do this summer. And I didn't want it to be boring. I wanted to be outside, and I really just started missing everybody. So I'm back.
Awesome. Great to have you back, Allie. You've done a great job this summer. And thank you, Brady, for sharing that. Brady's like the mayor of campus, everybody. John, I have to be honest with you. I'm thinking about pulling him away to lacrosse, but I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not gonna happen on my watch. He's too valuable for us.
Yeah. So and just sort of ending up here, just want to show you if you've never been to Hyde, one of the things is we want to get you on campus. I mean, Zoom is one thing. Hopefully this is informative for you all about Hyde, but coming to campus, sure, seeing the buildings, the facilities, but just meeting the kids, feeling the energy on campus. This is the mansion. This is where we have academic classes, school meetings, offices, office hours with students. It's not my house. I sure wish it was. This is where we have the library at school. This is where I have the Learning Connections program. We have the one-on-one tutoring, the 4-on-1 with students. This is a great facility here at school. This is the dining hall. We eat all of our meals on campus together, family style meals. We do a sit-down meal once a week on Thursday night with our discovery group. So we're together all the time here at the school. I think the food here is quite good. We also have a saying here at the school. Everyone's a teacher. Everyone. So whether you work in facilities, you're interacting with kids. You work in the kitchen, you're working with Chef Mo. Those are relationships. So everybody is invested in kids and trying to help kids here at Hyde. I mean, back to my own experience, the chef, John Braun and Chef Massey. I mean, they were some of the best teachers I had when I was a student at Hyde, and they ran the dining hall. Just amazing people, amazing role models for us. Dormitories, 4 male dormitories on campus, 2 female dormitories. So we have anywhere from, depending on the size of the dorm, this is Governor's Hall, this is the male dorm. We have four male dorm parents who live in here, some with their families, some with not, some are single. So there's plenty of supervision. Your teacher could be your dorm parent, so you need extra help, or you just need to talk. I mean, that's the best thing about boarding school is just going into a kid's room at night and having a conversation. I just think that's the best teaching for kids. Community. So as I said before, everyone does performing arts at the school, which when I was a teenager, I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. Like, I do sports, I don't like school, but I ain't doing performing arts. And everyone here does it: singing, dancing, getting out of your comfort zone. If you can't really see in here, but the faculty. So we all do this stuff with the kids. We're not going to ask the kids to do anything we won't do ourselves. We say that to the parents with getting them involved in the parent program. If we want our kids to look at themselves, their character, being honest, parents have to do it. And when the parents aren't around, our faculty do it at the school. So we sing and dance with the kids. We go through the self-reflection. Where do we struggle? Every faculty member is evaluated live by the students. Okay, so I get up in front of the whole school. Kids give me my strengths as a teacher, things I need to work on, special comments. And it just has made me, honestly, I think some of the best teachers in my 28 years haven't been the people I've worked with. Yes, there's great people, have been some of my students. Performing arts, as I said before, a big part of the curriculum here. We have kids who want to know part of performing arts. I'm shocked to hear that, John, about Isley. I would have never known that had you not said that, but that was just a place for her to shine, and she came out of her comfort zone. Ropes course, we have an outdoor leadership program here at the school, so every kid also does the ropes course, the high ropes course. Here at the school, we also put parents up on the high ropes course, which is a great thing for kids to overcome their fears and work as a team. 3 seasons of competitive athletics. The fall, we have men's and women's soccer, cross-country running. We also have golf, which was a new sport this past year that's become super popular. The wintertime, we have the men's and women's wrestling. We've got men's and women's basketball. We also have swimming and also strength and conditioning. And then the spring, we have tennis, track and field, and men's and women's lacrosse here at the school. So it's just a great way for kids to try something new and get involved. This is the gymnasium at the school, which is open all the time. The kids are in here constantly, weight room, cardio room. So This place is busy all the time. The schedule for the kids, many people say, well, what's the schedule like? My first answer, it's busy. Up at 7:30, breakfast at 8, 6 classes a day from 8:30 to 3, sports at 3:30 to 5:30, dinner at 6, a little downtime after dinner, study hall from 8 to 9:30, indoors at 10 o'clock. So it's constantly on the go. I know the kids are tired at the end of the day. So are the adults. And then the weekend, it's a little bit different on the weekends. Saturday, a little bit later wake up. Public speaking, that's something everyone here at the school does. Saturday mornings, we have a public speaking course or performing arts on Saturday morning. And then Saturday usually is game day, whether it's home game, away game. Then we do on-campus activities Saturday night. We get kids off campus. And then Sunday is like, let's take a breath, late morning brunch, wake up. We have on-campus activities, off-campus activities, and then we sort of do it all over again. This is the turf. Actually, the kids are super excited. We actually have redone this entire complex this summer. So students coming in the fall, returning students and new students, we have a brand new turf, track and field, locker rooms that are happening right now. So that's really exciting here at the school. And then I think one of the best things about this is Isley right here, John's daughter, who just graduated. So we have this saying at Hyde, it starts with an interview. So our process here at the school is, obviously application, transcript, blah, 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 all those things. But it starts with an interview, a family interview, where we do a little bit, we look underneath the hood. Every kid has a story at every school in America. Hyde, we start looking at your strengths, some of what's your kryptonite, what holds you up in your family. So it starts with an interview and ends with a speech. So every kid that graduates from Hyde gives a speech at graduation, a 2-minute speech at graduation. It is why I've stayed here 28 years. It's not like I was the best student. They're talking about their journey, who they were, where they're going. It's fantastic. I would encourage you guys to check out our YouTube channel to see some of the graduation speeches. It's pretty emotional. It's pretty special. And then, obviously it's about the parents and the students coming together. So I will shut up, and I probably talk too much, and sort of love to hear from some of our consultants. If you have any questions, we'll be quiet and I can sort of direct questions to people and just sort of open it up to folks to get some thoughts and reactions and any questions you might have about Hyde.
Well, I have a couple of things. First of all, it's maybe other people haven't been doing this as long as I have, but Hyde is serving a different population now than when I first started consulting some years ago. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still Daria, I think we're still helping families. I think we've been much more deliberate in screening families. I mean, Hyde is about helping people. So it's our greatest strength. And sometimes in the past, it's tripped us up where we just want to help people and see the best in people. But we've been much more selective. And I say selective, not on the academic, like kids we can help, kids we can't help in this day and age.
And if I could add something to that, Bob, that I think that, probably 80–85% of the kids that you see at Hyde, you would see at any New England boarding school. And so this, over the years, we've specialized in that 15–20% of kids who really need to get back on track. And that's been the essence of Hyde since its founding, and that will always be our special sauce. But we take kids from around the world, 25 different countries, and so we are not a therapeutic school. We are a prep school. We just have that plus piece with the character and leadership piece in place as well, and all the additional scaffolding.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm glad to hear that, and I think that I really like that you serve in a holistic way. The students who come to you, I do think the students are more traditional than they used to be. I'm just going to say that there.
Yeah, that's true.
Now the other thing I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to jump in and say, I think there's an emphasis right now on the functioning of how students can function. So, just are they going to classes? Are they able, it's kind of a lot to be at Hyde. It requires a lot of courage and independence and, some thinking that you're doing outside the box. And, I think I see people paying careful attention to, what stage of the process are young people at regarding that, so that we can make sure that we're able to provide what they really are needing at that time in their life.
And it sounds like you are. It sounds like you certainly are doing that from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. All right, just one other question that I'm not sure you addressed, if I missed it. What about screen time? What are we doing with phones here at school?
I was just gonna say something about that because you guys had that one day where you did technology free, which again, that just shows the flexibility of Hyde of what they can do and actually action. And that's not something that you can do in a big public school per se, and really be able to have kids follow that. And I thought I was on campus that day and I just thought it was amazing because I mean, I just observed kids actually interacting with each other and talking as opposed to constantly having their neck down. And it just made it so much more collaborative and I think kids were frustrated with it, but ultimately it seemed like an amazing experience.
Well, I mean, this is tough. Had I had this in 1986, man, I would have been in trouble. I think, someone just asked leadership changes. We try to involve kids in the conversation. So it's not just top down from the administration. We involve kids. So technology, for example, kids can have their phones at Hyde. Often parents will say to me, Daria, they'll be like, well, can kids have their phones? My kid doesn't do well with the phone. My first thing is, well, then don't bring them to Hyde with a phone. Okay. We're trying to empower the parents or turn their phone off. But we have, can't have phones in class, not supposed to have phones in the dining hall. Do kids bring them out? Of course they do. We ask kids to get involved in that, policing each other. John's talking about, we did no tech Tuesday and Thursday this year in the spring. So we started at 8:30 in the morning. We met in our discovery groups. Kids turned in their phones and we didn't give them back until sports time. I can tell you the dining hall, just the conversations on campus, it was night and day. And then we went from 8:30 to 6:30. And it was amazing the kids' reaction, like, oh my God, I can't have it, from 3 to 3:30 when I have sports. I mean, it was crazy, but we did it. We tried it. And so we're going to do it again this year. We've got some buy-in from some kids. Some kids are like, oh, I don't want to do it. Some kids are like, I'm fine with it. We also did it at family weekend in the spring. So we met with the parents on Thursday night when the parents arrived, and we talked about the technology. We're doing this no tech Friday when the parents got here, and we said, parents, okay, you too. I know some of the parents, you guys think, the dads and the moms, you got to do these deals, like I gotta call my broker. I got to do this. Like, okay, do it away from campus. And so it's getting buy-in also from the parents. So I think back to the leadership question that someone just wrote in, it's involving kids in the process. If it's just the adults running things here, I think the peer culture, kids on kids dealing with each other is often so much more effective than the adults talking to the kids. When the kids get involved in helping each other, a kid's struggling, I certainly talk to kids when they're struggling, but sometimes I'll say, hey, Brady, can you talk to this kid? He's struggling with doing his audition or being involved in performing arts. And that's how you empower kids to be part of the process.
Bob, I just want to add one thing. And again, I come from a unique perspective, having been a student when there weren't telephones to then dropping off a student with a telephone. And I think it also starts with the parents. I know when I dropped my son off, I said, when I went to Hyde, there were no phones. We waited in line for the payphone to talk to your parents. I said, so if Hyde's going to work from you, we are not going to speak Monday through Friday And when you have time on the weekends, that way you create your relationships. You're not dependent on talking on the phone. And it's something, you know, we are telephone free at night in our house. We're telephone free every meal in our house. And I think that's it. It also comes with the parent buy-in, which is also part of the parent process. If the parents are on board with letting Hyde do Hyde, which they do so successfully, then you know your kid's in a safe space, you're in a safe space. And I think that makes a huge difference as well.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
First, well, thank you for doing this. And thank you for doing it at the time that you do it. I'm in California, and oftentimes when East Coast schools do these types of events, they're like 8 in the morning on the East Coast. And yeah, it makes it tough. And so thanks everybody for being here and for putting this on. And Bob, thank you for your openness about your sobriety, and congratulations on your time. It's amazing, and for supporting kids in that. I'm curious to know, you know, Bath, Maine is, it's on the other side of the world in some ways, right? And the photographs that you guys put on your website are fantastic in terms of representing a diversity of kids in your student body. I would love to hear more about the breakdown of that, who your kids are, percentage of kids of color, what it's like for LGBTQ plus students. Do your kids who come, you know, internationally, where are they coming from? What are those countries? And how do you integrate those international kids into the rest of the population? If you've got, as everyone knows, like if you've got so many kids, if you've got a bunch of kids coming from one country and they speak the same language, they tend to understandably gravitate to each other. So would love to hear a little bit more about your efforts in DEI.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think one of the things, you know, just back to a couple things, the international population. So we've got kids from 25 different countries, you know, primarily, you know, 12 years ago, it was all kids from China, mainland China. And we always have sort of stuck to our mission is to give international students, you know, the Hyde stuff, but also give them an American experience. So what we do with our international students, primarily all of our international students, we hook them up with an American roommate, which like my son's roommate was a kid from Guangzhou, China. It was awesome for the kid from China. To be honest with you, I felt like it was better for us as parents, you know, just to have a kid from a different part of the world. So we have, you know, kids from China. We have a small population of kids from China. We have like 4 or 5 kids from Serbia. We have Spain has been super popular for us. I think it's probably been part of the success we've had in the soccer, to be honest with you. In the last few years, we've got probably 10 to 12 kids from Spain. We've got a few kids from the Dominican Republic, Germany, Italy, a few kids from Italy. So, you know, a few students from Vietnam. We have our first student ever from Australia coming this year. We have a student from Japan. So it's, you know, we have a few kids from Africa. So it's really this global environment here at the school, you know, DEI, things like that. I mean, I will just tell you, I mean, I've had kids that I've interviewed. Hey, I'm gay. I don't know where I am in this thing, and how will that be perceived at Hyde? All I can tell you is like, I never worry about that. I really don't. I never worry. At Hyde, you can be yourself. You have kids at a table in the dining hall. You'd have super jock. You'd have at other schools the nerd, this really smart kid. You'd have someone who's, you know, gay. It does. You can be yourself at the school here, and honestly, we talk about this stuff with the kids. It's an open book. We're very transparent. It's not behind closed doors in the head of school's office or my office. This is just who we are. We accept everybody here at the school. And so, and if there are issues that do arise, we don't just talk, we'll talk about it as an entire school. So we won't just compartmentalize these things. We make it a school conversation about things like that. I don't know if that sort of answered your question. but I never worry about that stuff because our culture is about being your unique self, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, having worked again in schools for over 20 years, I mean, this is definitely as far as any kind of diversity, whether LGBTQ or any kind of nationality, anything, it's the most accepting community. It really is like everybody lives together and it's like, oh, hey, so I think Bob's right that it's like, it just seems like something that is a natural part of, right? Everybody's finding their unique potential. And
I'm
that's,
not on campus, but it does seem like the Discovery Group is a breeding ground for kids to be completely open without judgment. And everybody has a story. And you witness it as a parent that these kids start to really feel safe to open up about their story.
Lisa, I appreciate the West Coast start time also, as I'm I always get scheduled for things at 6 o'clock in the morning, my time. So I appreciate that. But I have to say, Hyde is far more diverse than when I was a student, not just globally. I think acceptance of LGBTQ, I think African American, I think Asian American. I think there's a real acceptance. I happen to come from a state that is I'm born and raised in New York, so I'm as diverse as possible. And I've raised my children in Boise, Idaho, which has no diversity at all. And watching my son create relationships, and watching like I said earlier, my son just came back from Holland for 2 weeks, and my son's best friends live in Philadelphia, and he's been exposed to so much more. I mean, I laugh that my first roommate at Hyde was my maid of honor at my wedding, and the relationships were built. And my best friend from Hyde is a guy named Kwaku Adusi, and you're exposed to so much diversity. And I talk to Kwak once a week, and it's like we're sitting there together. But I think it really gives you an opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone. There are kids that maybe have never been around African Americans or been around questioning or queer or gay, have been around Asians, and you really are forced, not by force, but just by proximity to, I tell people, when people ask me about Hyde, I say, growth only happens when you're uncomfortable. And Hyde makes you uncomfortable in order to make you grow. And I think that applies to even the community of kids, exposing you to, my son had a roommate last year, remember, didn't speak any English. And by the time they had better communication than most marriages I know. And I think it's because you're forced to really know someone, not just on a surface level, but the way you are, you're building that relationship. I think Hyde is all about relationship building from the ground up, whether it's faculty or a diverse community. I think it's a real building block for life. I always tell people, you don't love the people you work with, but you make it work. And I think Hyde, you really do have a deep love for the people that you are with every day. At least I know I do. And I've been 30 years, and I watch my son, he talks on the phone to his Hyde friends more than he, sits down and hangs out with me. So I think that's the best thing you can ask of a school, is sending your kid off to build those lifelong relationships. I have friends whose kids go to the Choates and to the Deerfields and to the Exeters, and the diversity is nowhere near what my kid is exposed to at Hyde, which I think, Charlie has been in the traditional boarding school world forever. I think the diversity is unparalleled versus the traditional, 1%er boarding school problems.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate all of that. It's really helpful. My sister lives in Haley, Idaho. Boise's awesome. I love that place. One last question for me, because I know we're running out of time, but I'm with every school, I'm asking the question, having been in schools for a long time myself before transitioning to consulting. We've got a big, really national/international event happening right now, coming up, with the presidential election. And I'm curious to know, it's divisive everywhere, even here in California. And I'm curious to know, how will you guys approach teaching about the election and allowing kids to have their voice, but also, there's the balance of, the hate and everything else that potentially comes with it, the challenges. I'm asking every school this, mainly because I'm just really curious.
I'm happy to, Charlie, I'm happy to.
Yeah, I could speak to that. I've worked at 10 different schools. And in the last few years, last 8 years or so, actually, when things became particularly divisive, and that was all over the country, from Connecticut to Texas to Chicago. So I sort of have this interesting view of that. Now, and some schools handle it well, a bunch of different ways. At Hyde, we try to stay as apolitical as possible, frankly, because invariably, if you don't hold that position, you're going to offend somebody somewhere. When I was out working in Chicago, I would get phone calls from parents that were far left and far right, and they would just lay into the school, and all the time the school was the enemy. So to the extent that we can, from an administrative position, we try to be apolitical. Now, there's a way in the classrooms to have these kinds of debates between different viewpoints in a civil way. And I think that is important, actually, that we don't retreat to our corners and just don't talk to each other and spend time hating each other. Having those conversations, I think, is key. And while we don't have an agenda one way or the other, we want those conversations to happen. But the appropriate place for those to happen, frankly, would be in a classroom where it's constructive. But we want our kids to talk about their different positions, frankly. And all these schools that I've worked at, Hyde, and it's the culture, and I think it's about the character and all of that other stuff that creates the culture of the Hyde School community. That sort of spills over into a civility that is very rare at other schools. And so that's sort of my take on how we handle that here at Hyde. And in my perspective, that's the way to actually do it.
Lisa, I hijack because I talk too much, but I will tell you, when I went to Hyde, and the seniors still take government today, my son took it last year. It was a life-changing experience for me. It was the '92 election, which was Bush and Clinton. And at the time, before this whole happened, it was pretty outrageous of an election. And I remember learning more about politics in that senior government class that encouraged me to study political science, which I then went on to do. And politics is my jam. And I met with Rich Trulock at the start of my son's senior year and said, are you going to be talking about the election? Because I think it is crucial as these kids turn 18 and are about to vote. And he said, absolutely. And it was interesting. My son, who just turned 18 last week, is about to vote. We sit down every night and we each read an article from a different paper, and we talk about it. And his ability to understand politics and government from this year's experience, I think, has been eye-opening. Maybe I don't agree with everything he does, but he's really educated in it. So I think they do a really tasteful job of presenting it in an academic way versus a political way or a social way. I think that's the best way to educate, is with the facts. That's my opinion.
Well, I think I don't know if anybody has any last burning questions. We've kept you probably a little long, a little bit over 45 minutes. But I think for us, this has been awesome. Thank you guys, everyone, for being on. If you're new to Hyde, learning more about it, or you've referred students to Hyde, we're very appreciative. We do rolling admissions here. So we take students, we're interviewing 3 students on Thursday. We'll take students of September, October, November, probably the first of the year. So if you have families that you think, hey, like this may be a fit for Hyde, we'd love to meet them. And then furthermore, we'd love to get you guys to campus to meet our kids. We have fun here too. We have a sense of humor. We don't take ourselves so seriously. Hopefully you picked up on that. If you had heard the banter back and forth when we first got on the Zoom, you would have picked that up. But, really appreciate you all being here. Thank you to our parents who've been on, our students, and our staff here at the school. And thanks for making the time to be here today. We're very appreciative.
Thanks, everybody.
You. Thanks
Okay,
so
guys.
much.
Take care, everybody. Great to have you here.
Bye.
Bye, Catherine.